Hi everyone, it's me, Spring, the fiber enthusiast, and welcome to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about the ultimate guide to choosing the perfect yarn for your next project. We need to figure out and get an understanding of what our next project is going to be. Is it going to be a squishy Afghan, oh, you just want to cuddle up with? Is it going to be a shawl that you want warmth? Is it going to be something that's really lacy and delicate? Those are a starter as to figuring out that perfect yarn for our next project. So on that note, we're going to figure out what is that intended use. Is it going to be something that is a wearable? Is it going to be something that's going to be displayed on the wall, kind of like this is being displayed over here? Those are the type of things that you're going to want to start thinking about for your next project and get that in mind, and what kind of yarn is going to be perfect for it as well as you. And you're also going to want to look at things like look and feel. The desired feel and look of it is going to matter to using that perfect yarn. Are you going for something that's going to be modern? Are you looking for a vintage look? Are you looking for something rustic? Or maybe even that whimsical project? Just some type of really neat and different. It could be anything. So when you're thinking about those and you're thinking about where you need to go to start figuring out what yarn for that project, you've kind of got a project in mind now. You've kind of picked out what you got in mind, and now we need to figure out this whole yarn thing. Well, let's talk about fiber types. I mean, your fiber content is the heart of that yarn. That's where it starts. So if I have this fiber here and I spin it into yarn, that is the heart of your yarn. So with that being said, let's figure out our fibers. There's all kinds of different things that go with each fiber content. So we have natural fibers, we have synthetic fibers, and then we have blends and combinations. Well, what is going to work best for you? So things like wool and cotton and silk, they all have different properties and textures that are wonderful. And then you have synthetics, which are like acrylics and nylons. Those are easy to care for and budget friendly. But then you have those blends and combinations, and you get the best of both worlds. So you have something that's pretty budget friendly, as well as offering a balance of warmth and drape. So this is a cotton. This right here is cotton, and it is lacy and drapey. It's also kind of whimsical looking, but it is 100% cotton. This isn't everybody's cup of tea on yarn, but it is 4 singles run side by side. They're not plied together. It's just 4 singles run together. So we also have things like superwash merino, absolutely, or 100% acrylic. Or you have a more stiff cotton, a thicker worsted weight cotton. We'll get into weights here in just a moment, but this cotton is meant for kitchen items, tote bags, things like that. So that you have to keep in mind also. We'll get into that in just a moment. And then you have these really soft and nice cottons that you could use. So there's different types of fibers to consider. What are you looking for? Do you want that, unique texture and stuff from a natural fiber such as wool or cotton? Or are you looking for something that's really durable because you're making it and you're going to sell it, or you're going to gift it to someone that may not take care of it as it should be, such as hand washing, laying flat to dry, an Afghan. I mean, if you're going to make an Afghan, you may not want to make it in 100% natural fibers due to shrinking and possible felting, things of that nature. So that's also, and expense. You might want to consider that as well. Those are just some things to consider. And then you're also going to need to think about the weight of yarn. So here we go. We're going to go into the weights of yarn and needle size and hook size. What are you comfortable working with? If you're comfortable working with bulky yarns and you want that squishy Afghan, you're going to be working with very large needles or a very large hook. Is that something you're willing to or physically able to do over the period of time it takes to create this project? How much time out is that project going to have for you to be able to finish it? So that's some little things there on weights of yarn to think about for that project. Now you can take that shawl back there is in a worsted weight, make it in something that is a light number 1 and have a shawlette. Will it work up the same? More than likely, but it would be a fraction of the size and you would have a shawlette. Very doable if the lighter weight is yours. Or in that case, you can keep going with the pattern, and yeah, you just need to figure out your yarn accordingly. So then that's where we would get into gauge swatching, and we'll get into that in a moment. So we've went over our fiber content, and we have different sizes, and we have DK, which some DK is beautiful, has a beautiful squishy feel to it. This is 100% acrylic, and it's super squishy. Then we have our merino wool, 100% merino wool. That means that it has gone through a process. It's not a raw wool. It has actually went through a process that has softened the fibers. And that's a whole nother subject for a whole different video. And then we have, say, cotton. We have a worsted, more rough, coarse house kitchen cotton. We have a cotton thread for doilies, things like that. But you could also make very easily something like a wearable with the thread. Absolutely. So those are just some items. And then of course you have your blends as well. So this here is actually a 95% merino wool and 5% viscose. So it's a blend. So you've picked your project and you're working on picking your yarn, what kind of fiber. You pick the fiber and the weight of yarn. And also in choosing the weight of yarn, you may want to consider doing gauge swatches to ensure that you are getting that drape that you're looking for, or the stitch definition, or the overall fabric appearance. Once again, I can make that shawl with that shawl size thread. So we can go from a worsted weight and go down to a very fine number 1 weight and work them up, and they're going to look totally different. It's not going to be as sturdy looking. It's not going to be solid and warm looking. It's going to have more of a lacy appearance. So those are things that you will need to consider when you're doing a gauge swatch. You're going to do so many stitches. Usually patterns that have gauge swatches will give you so many stitches by so many inches square generally, and you work those up and it gives you an idea of that fabric. And you can take that piece of fabric swatch that you made and run it through the washing machine in the dryer and see what happens to it. Sometimes that fabric will change in appearance. Also something to consider. If you're asking me if I gauge swatch, most of the time I do not. I'm not a big gauge swatch person. I'm bad about that. So don't do what I do. If you are pretty comfortable with crochet or knitting and making items, a lot of times you will skip the gauge swatching, just go straight into the project. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it don't. Let's see. So we've went over gauge swatching and the fiber content. You also, when we're talking about that fiber content, you also need to keep into mind what you're looking for: durability, naturally water resistant, and fabric appearance. Definitely think of that. And the care instructions, the washing and drying instructions. So on your 100% acrylic, it's saying, you know, this particular one that you can machine wash and tumble dry with on warm. And not all acrylic is the same. Some you can and some you can't. So with that being said, we're going to kind of start wrapping this up and put it all together here. So choosing your perfect yarn for you and your next project and choosing that project. You can also go online and use those wonderful databases that are available and plug in different filters. What weight of yarn, what type of fabric, even put in that you're looking to make a shawl or a shawlette or a wrap or an Afghan, different things. When you put those filters in, it will help you narrow down your search, and you can also get ideas from projects that have been made and what yarn they used as to, ooh, that's a pretty yarn and that looks really amazing in that pattern. I might need to try that. If you've never tried that yarn and you want to, it might show you going through those searches that it's possible for your project. So those are just small little things that you can poke around on the great interweb and find little databases and search engines to help you in direction of what pattern and what yarn complement each other and potentially would work good for you. Now, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you absolutely, if you have access to a local yarn shop, I recommend going and checking them out. Their employees generally are very informative, very willing to help, and they usually have a great selection of samples using different yarns that they sell. If you do not have a local yarn shop or crafting store, usually you can find something complementary to what you're looking for at other stores, such as your bigger box name stores. And we won't get into individual names because some of them are going out of business and some of them are condensing their wall size of yarn. So, and that depends on region and where you're at, as well as, you know, I can say that it's 45 minutes for me to get to Hobby Lobby and Walmart, but it's over an hour for me to get to the closest Michael's or Joann's at this time. And, you know, is it worth the distance? Is it worth the drive? Maybe, maybe not, depending on how comfortable you feel with choosing a yarn online. So make sure, I know I've done it before and you could do it as well. Go into Google and type in, for instance, patterns. Say we're looking for a shawl. And we seen this yarn and thought it was really pretty, but we don't know how it's going to look worked up. So we want to make a shawl, and we know we like this weight of yarn. And now we're curious about this yarn. So we're going to type it into, say, Google or DuckDuckGo, whatever your search engine is, and type in Premier Bloom and shawl patterns, and they'll come up. You'll click on images, look through the images and see what looks really nice, thicker ones, more drapey ones. Is this worked up really pretty in crochet hook size 6? Is it really pretty worked in a I or an H or a G? It's all different. There's so many different ones, and you can look up those patterns specifically most of the time on the websites or on Ravelry, things like that. So that is my 2 cents worth of how to walk yourself through picking your next project and complementary yarn, the size, the what kind of fabric you're looking for. I hope that this has helped you pick out your next project and your next yarn. If you have any tips or tricks and you would like to share them down below, by all means, please feel free to comment down below and let us know how you go about picking out your next project and the yarn you use with it. If you have any suggestions for future videos like this to help you and others with picking out something, or help with a project, how to pick colors, things like that, let me know and I will do my best to work something up for you. So until next time, everyone, be blessed, be a blessing, and bye for now.